We're gonna have to have council policies and procedures modified to include.
Chuck, mine says the same thing.
Right at the buzzer.
Mine doesn't,
I'm not internet.
but I'm not on your Wi-Fi. Or maybe I am actually.
Also that? Oh, hi, Ryan. That's what I'm looking for.
You don't get the special.
Tom, you always say that. John, told me to come see you.
Oh, no, I'm on the council now.
Jeter 6808 on 830.
6808.
Hello?
Did they say me?
Yes.
Because they just lost theirs.
I just turn mine off and turn it back on.
On my laptop, which is fine.
Supposedly it's gonna work.
That looks better.
Oh, yeah, I like that much better. Kelly's, yeah, much better than
That's
Gomer
where you should be, Kelly.
Soothing.
So Ryan, how are you?
What's better than Gomer Pyle? I mean, Shazam!
Yeah. Hey. So we got everyone here. I guess we can start. We'll open the meeting and is it recording? You're all good with that? Very good. So do you want to do that in any order to it? Or we just start?
We just do it last, and
Okay.
then we let the squirrels through the internet get it to whoever Councilman Pymans is at.
Okay, very good. So our first item of business ordinance for the Map Street Amendment for Mr. Sullivan, I guess.
Yeah, so we are amending the map streets to account for, well, one, roads that have already been constructed. Also to modify the roads over in the Easttown Industrial Park area, or sorry, Peak 410 Industrial Park area, where we, through the development agreement, had agreed that we were gonna change those roads. So there's a realignment of 230th. So that it's more on the Peak 410 site and less on the neighboring property. And then also deleting part of 97th. And then the other one was adding the future road network that we see as the policy decision for the WFU Forest residential site. So those are the amendments that have been made to the map.
Why did you add Vine Boulevard little addition to that? That hasn't always been there?
That's always been there. That wasn't an add or a disagreement. It's always been there. To someday make a connection between Bonney Lake Boulevard and Myers.
Neighbors will shoot you, but yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, this is not looking. This is not.
Talk to neighbors before.
Yeah, that's not looking at how the neighbors would feel about
I won't tell
whether or not they like our road design. But yeah, that's
them. Okay.
definitely an issue that we'll always have to contend with at some point.
So
So
for
how-
that 410
does this-
area, is it gonna, go ahead, Kelly. Go ahead, Kelly.
I'm sorry, Councilman Swatman.
Yep, sorry. I didn't see your hand. I was like looking
No.
someplace else. I forgot you were not here. No, you're good.
Um,
You're good. You're good.
So do any of these require us to acquire right of way? Or do we have right of way for all of these?
These do require, some of these do require us to require right of way. But what this map shows is just where those trees would be. And when we go to construct them, either through whatever process, through the projects being redeveloped, or for when we do put those on the CIP to do, that's when we would deal with that process. This
So
just
which
is a
one, how do I
plan.
know how do I know which ones require right of way?
Every one of these would require right of way because they're where we need future rights of way.
Okay, so we don't have any of the rights of way here,
Correct.
is what I heard you say. Okay, great. Thank you.
This is just where we need, I guess the way to look at this is a needs map of where we need right of way.
And nothing, right?
But nothing changes
right
at
away
this
is
point.
gonna happen.
This is as we're doing development projects, we know where we need to put the roads that serve that development. And then we go through that process during the development review.
Yeah, but there's no guarantee we're gonna do all these roads, right?
No, this is, like I said, this is a planning exercise of to identify where there's a future need for the right of way.
I'm done, council member Swatman.
Thank you. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, good, good. On the 410 stuff there, obviously Public Works is happy with this proposal. It has some of it's going to be easement for the sewer, right away or whatever, or however they work that out. Or?
Yeah, this is just for the roadways. So not any sewer easements, but yeah, there would be sewer for Peak 410. There would be sewer easements in addition. This is just for the rights.
Okay. So is that, they know how all that, some of that sewer, I think at least the sewer easements have been already acquired or something like that?
Yeah, some of those sewer easements have already been acquired, and those are on a different map.
Okay.
If they overline with the roads,
Yeah.
that's fine,
Sure.
but some of them have not been yet acquired.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Brian looked at this, the city engineer looked at this, and really except for the stuff in East Town and the stuff on the Wazoo residential site, there were no other changes. So basically what we did is, if you look at the next map, which is the older version where I have all the markups on, you can see we've deleted some of the roads because they're no longer necessary, removed the roads that we've already constructed. The biggest realignment occurred on the Compass Point Peak 410 site, where we've changed the road based on how that project's getting laid out.
Yeah.
The biggest change being that we shifted 230th to be more on the Peak 410 site and have less impact on the neighboring properties. And that neighboring property site has agreed that this is a better layout than what was originally on.
Mm-hmm. So is that, because the one roundabout there, is that like that R5, R6 intersection? Or
It's just where R5 would hit R410, that's where the roundabout.
The other one previous to that, like that R8 and the R9 that goes across there, is that another proposed roundabout?
No, that's just, that would just be,
That's the tunnel?
no, that's just left in, left outs.
Oh, okay. So there's
no crossing, it's just left in, left out. But because of the line weights, it's really hard to show that,
Yeah.
that little tiny gap.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, those would be left in, left outs there on. Or right in, right out, sorry. Said that back. It's been a long day. It eats kids, I mean.
At one time, we had conversations about 208th or 210th connected on the backside, Summer Bucky High, which probably never happened, but thought there was a conversation about that, extend that road across.
Where?
From 410. From 410, yeah, right there, where the park's
Oh, he's
over there.
way over in the Cedarview area.
Yeah,
Is that what you're
Cedarview.
talking about?
Yeah, we've talked about.
Yeah, I think we had
Times.
looked at it, but there was, because of the grade issues, I think there was some grade issues that prevented that. Yeah, there was some grade issues that prevented us from getting down to Sumner Buckley Highway.
It wouldn't make sense.
And then these are
Right.
private neighborhood there with a private driveway.
Well, yeah, it's all.
It'd be great to have.
Yeah, I thought we talked about that would somehow get that worked out.
Some of your, the water main there.
Well, that was part of the sewer problem in there too.
But we can look at that during the transportation plan update and update this map in the future.
Come over here, they fill out, the sewer and come like down by whatever it is or something.
That was the
Through
old,
Cedarview, that
yeah.
whatever alignment to come back through. It doesn't go like down to.
Yeah, it kind of
We
goes.
don't, right, it doesn't go down to some, the newer, the most recent plan was not to go through straight north down to Sumner Bucklet. And when I say down, the downhill, because of the issues that we would run into getting to Sumner Buckley Highway, and then that much work
to go
on Sumner
down.
Buckley Highway itself.
Well, no, the HOA doesn't want us there anyway.
They don't want anything to do with this.
Have to get way on it.
That's something I need.
But they screwed us out of our money, but.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Do you have any follow-up questions, Kelly, or that? through that conversation?
Yeah, yeah. So the Bonnie Lake Boulevard, do we
Mhm.
do we have any idea? Is that how is that acquiring that land to complete Bonnie Lake Boulevard going to work? I mean, why haven't we done that before now?
It just hasn't risen to the top of the priority list.
That's
Okay.
at R24.
If I could
Yeah, it's
add,
R24.
one of the reasons that little R24 has never been done is, not only is the right of way, but it would require major work because if you look where it connects to Myers Road is coming at a downhill. So we have a site distance issue that we have to address, which means some major work on, Myers Road itself.
Small segment, high cost.
Exactly.
And Kelly, I talked to the residents that are in the street there, and they don't want anything to do with it. They'll fight us tooth and nail. I said, we really need to knock this through. Don't you guys do that? We don't. We like it back here. There's no cabin back there. They don't want anything change. So
Yeah. Okay. So, and we can, when this comes up, we can just say, no, we're not going to do it, right? This doesn't force me to go
No,
take somebody's property.
No. This doesn't mandate that we do any sort of condemnation action. It just allows us to know when we're doing development in that area. So for example, say those properties want to short plat their property. This would say, as part of your short plat, you need to dedicate that right of way and improve it consistent with the overall plan.
Okay.
It's a planning tool, but it doesn't force you to condemn any property or take any other actions at this time.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Yep. I'm
Consent,
good.
regular.
Yeah, it's a consent item for me. So
Yeah,
far,
nothing really going on, just
Next available consent.
what if.
Moving on to resolution 3152, housing action.
So I kind of laid it out there in the agenda bill. Back in 2021, we adopted a housing action plan, which just a number of strategies for addressing affordable housing. Back in October, the city council directed us to apply for a housing action implementation grant. Then in February 2022, the city council accepted that housing action implementation grant. As part of that grant, we agreed to do some regulatory reforms to our code to increase housing availability, diversity, and affordability. As part of those deliverables, we agreed that, and I'll be honest, we're going to be doing this on a much faster timeline than I had hoped, just because the grant requires that I have everything done by June 30th.
Wow.
And
June 30th.
we got behind with the staffing issues, so we're kind of fast tracking this through. But one of the deliverables was a technical memorandum identifying the changes that we're going to be making to the municipal code to address housing costs or the cost to provide housing. These are the same ones that we talked about in October and in February. Basically, let me scroll down the memo. There is removing the requirement that duplexes and triplexes go through design review. That really doesn't add any value to the permit review. It just costs time. And so we would eliminate single family attached single family homes, townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes from having to go through a separate design review. There are no real standards in municipal code that we do subject them to through design review other than the standard zoning code requirements, which we would pick up through the building permit process. It doesn't change where any of these housing types are permitted. It just changes the process by which, where they're already allowed, we'll permit them. We also, in that original resolution, talked about eliminating the flat 20% requirement for park space, or 20% open space and 10% recreational use, instead of just going to 193 square feet per unit, which is what the National Recreation and Park Association standards are for small neighborhood parks. And then also removing the requirement to provide on-site recreation if you're within a quarter mile of a park, public park. And that would be true for for multifamily and also for subdivision. Expanding the frontage and lieu program from 2 and 3 lot short plats to basically 4 lots, and also for residential development containing 4 or fewer homes, so a 4-plex or less. The same with the sewer connection. We have a number of properties where the sewer line's over 200 feet away in small 4-lot short plats and 4-plexes. The cost doesn't make sense to drag sewer lines over that distance. So the sewer exemption that we have for like duplexes would be expanded to include up to 4 units. And then allowing access tracks to be used for up to 6 lots versus 4. And then the other one we've already done, which is switching to a per bedroom count for multifamily. That was done as part of Ordinance 1686. So if the council is okay with all of these, what we would do is we'll bring back an ordinance to the Planning Commission pretty much in the first part of June, and then we would take it to full council on the 27th of June. I was hoping to bring it to CDC on the 20th, but that got canceled. So we'll have to go straight from Planning Commission to full council on the 27th. But it would just be these changes, so there really wouldn't be a difference. And this is going to council tomorrow, next week if it's passed, if this resolution's moved out of CDC tonight.
I'm fine.
Well, I think it's great. Good work. See if Kelly's like,
Yeah, I'm okay. I would be okay with this going to council, but I don't want it to be consent.
okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
I'm good.
sounds great.
Yeah, and I will say these were just Councilmember Clemens, these were the ones that we put in the grant application
Right.
last year that said that we would do these. So if we don't do these, we do run a risk of having crosswise with our grant.
This is a trimmed down.
I won't ask my question, Ryan.
Well, what was your question? Why don't we don't do it? We won't be able to fulfill our grant obligations because these were the specific things that we put in the grant when we asked to apply for the grant and also when we accepted it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Hey, Kelly, did you get that newest item for the,
I did. I did get it. I can't say I've digested it, so I'll need some help.
Yeah. Yeah, we just got it too.
Yeah, the high level is the city owns property right off of 96. When the city council passed the development agreement with the Peak 410 project, they, as part of that development agreement, Chris Lear's group agreed to install water and sewer lines across the city site, and also to install the decant facility. And also there was a request to be able to use 96 as a backdoor construction entrance because they're going to be doing frontage improvements along 410. This is an agreement that would basically allow Chris Lear's development group to access through the city site while they're doing the construction, also to build the decant facility and install the sewer and water lines. Once the work is completed, or no later than December 31st, 2024, this access agreement expires. It was primarily reviewed and written by our city attorney to make sure that we're basically protected from construction work that Chris is doing on our property.
And so it looks like Chris has to take care of his insurance for that.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And there's also indemnification language and a requirement to maintain insurance on the property.
I think he's going to improve the roads if he destroys the roads over there, what's there right now.
Well, eventually the gravel road will go away and there'll be a whole new paved driveway that's being installed as part of the decant facility.
Okay.
And then if he causes any problems to 96 that we get informed of from the county, he'll be on the hook to make those.
Are we going to put a new gate? I mean, there's a chain there. We're going to put a new gate in place.
Yeah. As consideration for allowing him to have the construction access, he's agreed to put basically a swing gate that will be double locked for now. That will have a padlock that they can use and a padlock that our crews can use. And then eventually that padlock will come off and it'll be just the city's padlock.
Can't we put a key
No,
card on there?
Yeah, or about a lift gate with a small.
Chuck told me that was
Council
too,
access.
Chuck told me that was too cost prohibitive because we didn't have wire, electrical and comm out there.
Probably no internet either.
And no internet, no
Yeah, no, DSL.
Right. So that's what the agreement's for. It's just to allow him to officially have access to the site. And since it's dealing with real property, we believe it should have come with Jennifer's recommendation that came through city.
Is there any agreement here to make sure that we review what he's done so he meets our expectations when he's all done with? I'm sure he will be. Just
Yeah. So the water and sewer lines that he's installing have to go through civil permit review process with the city. And so our engineer staff will be making sure that the decant facility, we're working with him to help design it. So it's designed. And then he also has to pull permits so that we make sure that what's built is consistent with the design.
that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. Any further comments from the Clemens?
Consent or regular agenda?
We can do consent on this unless Kelly wants to do it. Consent? Okay.
Consent's good.
Yes, consent. I'm fine.
Consent's fine with this one, yeah.
Thank you for letting me add that last
Yeah,
minute.
no worries. Yeah, you can always bring what you like, whether or not we have time or whatever. I appreciate the heads up. So I was gonna go down to the Alan York playground equipment thing there. Budzinski has done some research apparently on that.
Yes, I don't know if any of you guys have been out to see the
We
new
all
park
have. I don't
facility.
know if Kelly has seen it yet.
Okay,
I've walked it.
you walked it. Nice.
Walked it,
What
tasted
do you
it,
think of it?
felt it.
Wonderful.
The site's
Okay.
fantastic, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like-
Just gotta keep it that way. But that's
Ultra-
another,
yeah.
that's another, that's a
That's
different
a simple,
discussion.
right? Yeah, exactly.
We're not here for that today.
So is it appropriate for us to go on site without being escorted? Is that someone good?
Yes, it is. The city now has ownership basically of the site. And
Okay.
so it is generally open.
You can
For
walk
people to
around
walk
there,
up
you know.
there, yes.
The field is clearly marked that it's not open right now, kind of thing. But you can kind of walk around.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's
When did that happen?
Saturday for a few minutes before Sunday.
Yeah. Open up
Or
on
whatever
Saturday.
it was.
The contractor handed it over, the keys over to us last week. So
Okay, sure. Do it on Mother's Day, the one day I don't drive by there.
Oh well, I took Mother's down there. That was the whole idea. It was like, that was. So it's really hot, is what's really weird. That it's talking about. I was like, yeah, of course. It would be great.
So anyways, since you've been out there, you've seen where the playground area is supposed to go. And it's right now, it kind of looks like a pit.
Yep.
It's about 12 inches lower than grade than what than the rest of the area around it. And that was because that site was originally, the playground area was originally planned to have engineered wood fiber, fancy bark, whatever, play bark, whatever you want to call it, to be filled up to 12 inches and then put the playground. And we also originally were planning to have volunteers assemble the playground, assemble the play set and put it there. What we found last fall, and during the winter, it's a little more complicated than that because you kind of assemble the play set, and then there's footings that have to go in certain places. And so as you're assembling it, you put these footings in, and then you put the setting on you pour the footings, the concrete footings, and then you put the playground bolted down, and then you tighten all the bolts again. And there's an issue with we want to make sure all the bolts are tightened because we don't want any kids swinging and then all of a sudden the bolt comes loose. And but anyways, that's so we decided with all that we were going to put a hold on doing that, and because it was a little more complicated than just having a bunch of volunteers and take.
I got my tools and my drill.
Yeah. So anyways, in the process, we started looking at, what if we had other materials for the surface area? Because there was a question that came up about whether the engineered wood fiber is ADA compliant or not. It says that it's ADA compliant. The site says it's ADA. It's ADA. We're a little unsure about that. And so we looked at possibly putting, what they call port-in-place rubber around the structures themselves, and then had the engineered wood fiber on the perimeter area. So that therefore, I get that right? Yeah. So therefore, it's a little more ADA accessible, or a little more friendly. I mean, the one of the issues that our Parks Department has with the engineered wood fiber is that it's more maintenance, and it requires, and it only lasts for a couple of years, and then or a few years, and then you have to replace it. As you looked at if you looked at the numbers I put in there, the good thing is it's much less expensive. So we decided that we would bring it to you council, and let you guys look at it and get a direction how you would like to see it, because it is a lot of money either way. I put some additional contingency dollars in there just to make sure, I don't surprise you with more money, and trying to be realistic, because we typically have contingency dollars on any project we assemble. But we have a quote from Playtime for them to do the work on both the just doing all engineered wood fiber, and for doing the hybrid version, as we call it. And you can see the hybrid's much more expensive, though it's going to probably look more appealing. The park crew are going to like it a little bit better, because it's not going to get kicked around so much, the wood fiber. And so it's kind of like, we're looking for direction of what you would like to see, because it is, a big price difference.
So from the staff's perspective, what's their recommendation? They're kind of looking at it, right? Whatever your
If
guys'
money's
working group is,
money's not an issue.
Well, money's always an issue. You guys have to.
Right.
I think one of the things that we really like, there are two options that you don't see in front of you to see. One is the port-in-place option, which was about $215,000, which includes setup of the playground and everything else. The other option is using interlocking tiles instead of a port-in-place product. So it's the same rubber, but it's interlocking tiles. We actually like that one a lot, because if there's some damage, I believe that sections can be removed and replaced. And you also get the benefit of having the entire site being that rubber-coated surface, and so we're not chasing engineered wood fiber all over the place and having to replace it every few years.
And I was going to ask, if you have a child who only has one leg with a peg and the other one stuck, can they use that and walk around?
We just asked if it's ADA compliant. That's the question we asked.
Yeah, because I saw some here last year down there with a child with that.
Yeah.
With our current place and stuff.
I mean,
so we're going to do it right. If you've got,
yeah.
don't want to complaints that are on that, my children can't use it because whatever handicap they have.
We just have wood chips and the other little one. Kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so
At the play down by the corner there by the restrooms. Same kind of thing. I think Cedarview has the same product as well.
So as an example, any of the areas that we put something other than engineered wood fiber, we have to bring additional crushed rock to bring the elevation up, and then put in place. If we used the tile method has to go on. It kind of gets glued down, therefore it needs a hard surface. So we're going to have to look at something like porous concrete, because the area is supposed to be water infiltratable. So we're going to have to put concrete. They say asphalt or concrete, but we don't have a drainage system right there. The drainage system is the ground, so we would bring it up for the tile. We would bring it up and then put about 2 to 3 inches of porous concrete and on that, and then you would put glue the tile down on top of that. That is a little more than 200,000. If you do the poured in place, it's actually more, but you don't have to do the concrete. You know, you just bring up the wood, bring up the subgrade with crushed rock, packed it down, and then you after you get the footings in place, you put
Where's this money coming from?
Well,
that's
that's part of the conversation.
yes.
You know, I'd have to talk with Sherry, Doug and I'd have to talk with Sherry a little bit to figure that out. I mean, obviously there's no project fund available for this.
Right.
So my first instinct is to look and see what's in the park CIP, and go from there. I don't really
That makes
have
a
an
big difference on what we're gonna decide upon, and in my opinion, what you guys think is best for the park down there. You've done the research for it, we haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or ending fund balance and a budget amendment.
I knew that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna have
Just
to be
curious,
some
if you have
kind
an
of.
idea, other than just. What do you think, Kelly?
3,000. Yeah, I mean, ARPA would be a possibility.
Mr. McClemens?
Yeah, I don't know. We own this equipment already, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a small portion of the cost.
What's the value? Yeah, what's the value of the equipment?
Gary spent 100,000 on
Is
that?
that what it is? Because we got some grant.
There was some kind of small grant with the. Yeah, I don't recall exactly what the equipment cost was.
So I'm hearing 100-ish.
Yeah, I was not involved I just know that Gary purchased it when Gary was here, and that's going back actually a few years.
Yeah, I
I think
remember
I
all
heard
that way
like
back from
2018 or
But
something.
your tile cost is what, you didn't have that on here, right? Do you have an estimate for what the tile would? Because I see
If we do the
100.
tile portion, we're looking about 200. And
Well, does that mean the load? Because I see the poured in place stuff is at 180, the wood chippies at 86, and the tile at 250.
no 200. Yeah, I already crunched the numbers for those. We didn't want to we presented 2 different of the lower options that that were a little more.
Well, I think we have to look at the long term, but
Yeah.
Kelly, where are you going with your thoughts, Kelly?
Well, I'm trying to understand why Game Time's charging us. If we own the equipment, what are we paying Game Time $66,000 for?
The 56,000s, they come out, once we have the area prepared for them, whether it's, depending on what material is, they're providing the final surface material, whether it's the tile, the poured in place rubber, or the engineered wood fiber. They're providing that and placing it. They are actually going to put the footings in place, which is, concrete work. And then they're going to assemble the playground set itself. And I don't know, I mean, this play set, from what I've seen of pictures, diagrams, I haven't even seen pictures. Diagrams, it's several parts.
Oh yeah,
It's not
a
just
lot of pieces.
It's not a lot. It's not just putting a swing set together. So,
But he has a little matrix too there. I don't know if Kelly, if you got that one there, where it shows what
Yeah.
he has for So
I do.
apparently that the game time is the surface, the final surface, right? So, whether it's the rubber or the wood or the.
it's like think of it this way: we get the road ready, and then somebody comes along and lays the pavement down. So,
Yeah, I live on a chip sealed street, right?
Yeah. Don't we all?
Not,
Who doesn't?
It's not,
Oh,
it's
the
not
mayor's-
concrete. It's not super duper deluxe concrete. It's like a nice, simple chip sealed street. Do we all live on chip seal in Bonney Lake?
Yeah, kind of. Well, eventually.
Except Sky Island? Is Sky Island chip sealed as well?
Absolutely, they do get chip seal. It's our primary way of doing road preservation.
Oh man, now I can't be bitter against those guys anymore. I thought they had the fancy. I thought they had fancy roads over there. Anyway, I guess I really struggle spending an extra $100,000 to put something besides wood chips in a playground, right? I mean, I'm like, is there a better what else could I do for $100,000? I could buy a whole new playground set, right?
Yeah.
I could double the size of this playground if I didn't do that.
But you would have to have somebody assemble it, though.
Yeah.
Still gotta
Yeah.
do that.
Drive by Lake Jane Estates, look at their playground. That was yeah, we did that. It was painful. You're right.
The
Right.
two factors,
But
of course, the usability and the maintainability, remember those, right? Those are in a public structure, there's pretty high cost in that maintainability piece.
right. Yeah, I get it that it's Lake Jane Estates, nobody's going to sue Lake Jane for much, right? You might get $50,000 out of them, but you'll get more than that out of Bonney Lake, right?
Yeah, maybe, hopefully not, but yeah, exactly. The liability is much cheaper.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you guys have a better feeling for that than I do. I'm just like, I look at this and I go, wow, man,
Yeah, I
I'd
know,
really
really.
rather spend the money on a playground up at Midtown or something, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Great.
Yeah, I don't know.
How
Can we
come-
can we
how
put the
come-
playground equipment at Midtown? Do we have to have a playground there?
I think of it, I forget. I don't
Can we
know.
just buy some
Asking
Nerf
for a
guns and
playground
throw it in
every
the
year.
middle?
But you're still gonna have the same associated installation and prep, probably even more prep
More
costs to
prep.
put it over
Sure.
there, right?
There's no
Sure,
restrooms
but at
over there or
least-
anything.
At least it's Midtown, right? I mean, at least it's a start,
Right, oh, yeah, yeah.
you know?
But I think as you point out, that it's almost, the equipment cost is about the same as installation, looking like almost.
Right, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at going, wow, the equipment and the installation is like, and it's not really, they show that nice glitzy poured rubber, but it's probably just going to wind up being black, right? No pattern, no artwork.
Oh, I'm sure there's some kind of
yeah.
speckles in it.
Yeah, I'm sure if we want a pattern, it costs more, but they have just standard colors that you can just have like green,
Oh my gosh,
brown,
really? Oh, yeah.
red, whatever. On their website, I've looked, there's a variety of colors. But if you want a pattern, I'm sure you pay more. So,
Oh, I don't want a pattern. I saw that the graphic you used was like really cool, right? But that's not what we're getting. Probably
So
something
Doug, what do you
like
think we
black,
should do?
right?
I'm looking at what would you do? What's most logical? City.
knowing the situation, I'll be honest, knowing the situation that our parks is in, I think maintenance is a big issue for them. They got a lot of maintenance that they have to deal with. I mean, that park was all nice and real pretty Wednesday morning when we walked it to make it look and take over. And then I was over there yesterday, and I'm like, there's already stuff collecting on the turf that's going to have to be swept up. The grass is already looking like it needs to be mowed again. Because it's that time of year where grass grows fast, and I just felt like, it's like these guys really got to challenge it from just to keep this looking the way it looks. All that said, I do not know what our parks fund looks like. I really don't, and that's the question we have to ask Sherry.
Well-
And what if we were to spend that amount of money to put in like the tile or something like that? What would our fund balance look like for parks? So,
As Doug and I were discussing this, I told him to not even include the other two options because I thought we'd get laughed out of the room given the cost. But if the question is, what do we think the best option is? I think it's the tile. I think you remove the maintenance with the engineered wood fiber altogether and you put in the tile. And I think longer term, as Dan pointed out, the longer term enjoyment and care and maintenance of it is going to be much easier.
Then just blow it off and get it cleaned up. Nothing, no work to maintain it.
Why is the tile better?
Just because it's the option that covers the entire site in that rubber product, and it's cheaper than the poured in place version, if you will.
And
You can replace sections of it much easier.
instead of having to do like a whole cut out and re-pour or something like that, it's actually just like the turf, believe it or not. If you just cut out and you can just
Carpet tiles.
glue, yeah, carpet tile. It's like the carpet tiles here in our building here. You just remove the bad ones and you re-glue and glue down the new ones.
Well, maybe we can get with Sherry and see what options we have, right? And, you know, whether she looks at the ending fund or without knowing, right?
Okay, we can take this information and get with her and.
I might be able to talk Kelly into the higher cost at some point, but you know, without knowing if it's even available, it's kind of like.
You want wood chips I got in my backyard for my CNC
You're like the.
You only get
They look great in my garden.
Hey, did you engineer those wood chips, Tom?
They
How
were.
you engineered them?
With a
Yes,
CNC
he did.
machine, yeah, not in
Quarter inch.
Oh, there you go. Oh, they actually are CNC products. So there you go. That's high end engineering.
You can measure those out, yeah. So we'll be back to here with the more financial.
If
That's what we'll do. We'll get with Sherry and then
we
we'll
can
come
get a
back.
deeper look
Sooner
dive
than
into
later.
the tile approach
Okay. Okay.
and have a and make sure with Sherry whether that's even feasible or
Sure.
not with the fund balance that we currently have for parks.
We'll shoot for getting back here the first CDC.
Or
in
ARPA
June.
funds, if we can do that too.
Yeah.
You know.
So we got our minutes. Any changes?
They're good.
Have any changes to minutes, Mr. McClemmons? Nothing on the minutes. Open council discussion, I'm sure. I know we got a chief here. I'm like entertaining.
I
you
was
know.
missing you guys.
You're just missing us? 'Cause I heard that there was challenges at the park or something.
There were
I kinda
certainly
missed out on
challenges
it.
at the park. I was just gonna make a motion to close Allen York Park. Hopefully I could get a second.
Well, you know, and I agree that that's there's a lot of the public is kind of scratching their head about that. You know, they're trying to figure out because the last thing we want to do is have a really bad situation down there. You know, we depend on you guys to help us, guide us how to what the different ideas and options are to, including, say, okay, well, this doesn't work. Sorry. Everybody loses. That would be the worst case.
Yeah, and that's not on the table. Unless you want to just close it for the summer, then I'd be fine with that. Keep it open in the winter.
Right?
That'd be great. We've made adjustments to our plan, and I talked to John and Ryan today, and that's part of the reason we're here to talk about a couple of things moving forward that would help us with the security plan. As you know, controlling that area is crazy. We got ball field 4 trailer parking. We've got Pine Lake Boulevard parking and the ball fields right there. We have the beach area, and now we're going to have ball field 5. So all these areas that aren't connected that we're trying to police and maintain at the same time. And it's like whack-a-mole. You have a problem at ball field 4, then something happens at ball field 5, something happens at the beach, then we got to worry about the lake. So we've talked about ways that we can increase our presence and make the park more safe. So Ryan?
Yeah, if I could just a few minutes for open discussion here, if that's all right.
Does Kelly know that there was significant problems down there, right? They had challenges. They had
What
We had
happened?
several
No, I'm not
fights.
aware of what happened.
Grounded and
okay. Have the chief give him a little executive overview of it.
Yeah, it was way overcrowded, Kelly. And as the evening wore on, we had a lot of youth not from the immediate area infiltrate the park. There was a lot of alcohol involved. There were several fights that broke out, and our officers that were on duty tried to break it up. They were surrounded and challenged by the crowd. One of our officers injured his hand during an arrest. We had, I think we made 3 or 4 arrests out of there. We called for priority backup from Pierce County, Sumner, and Buckley. And even then, we were still getting challenged. As the groups were moving around, there was other people inciting the crowd, getting them fired up. So we did get it cleared out with just one minor injury to an officer. We did have to deploy pepper spray and a taser, and by we, it was another agency. It was not Bonney Lake, but still it was a good move because the crowd was advancing on the officers that were trying to arrest somebody. So they put a burst of pepper spray over the crowd, which helped. So it was, typically we have one of these events each year, and it seems to be when the temperature's above 85 is when these things happen.
In so many ways.
Yeah.
Well,
And
we'll just make it illegal to be over 85.
Yeah, I like that. We'll close the park then when it's 85 or greater. But we had I talked with Ryan before the weekend about opening the parking lot at Ball Field 5 because with trailer parking at Ball Field 4, we had nowhere to put anybody. It would be pushing them out into the neighborhoods, which proved to be a challenge because, again, a lot of things that usually were happening at the beach were happening across the street at the snack shack, by the skate park, by the basketball court. We didn't have the problems at the beach that we normally have. So in hindsight, opening up Ball Field 5 early actually hurt us. So we made the decision to close it on Sunday. We had a greater police presence. We ended up, I don't know how many cars we impounded, probably close to 10 this weekend. And I'm guessing somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 parking tickets that were issued. So very busy weekend, but I know our officers were a little bit reluctant. They've never been surrounded like that before and challenged. And it's definitely not an easy feeling when you think that people are going to listen to the police. And these are all young adults or teenagers and no respect for any authority whatsoever. So that's kind of what led to the discussion with John and Ryan today. And we've got a security plan moving forward, but the plan was not supposed to start until Memorial Day when the weather turned nice. So I did not ask Pierce County Security to start last weekend, which was probably a tactical error because we certainly could have used their help because the park was over capacity, troubles at the boat launch, troubles at Ball Field 4. There was a Little League game going on, so they were all parking in Ball Field 4 like they have for years, not paying attention to the boat trailer signs. People were trying to park into their boat trailers in there. We had people parked along Bonney Lake Boulevard in the watercraft trailer queue area. So, and we were announcing over the PA for people to move. They didn't until the tow truck showed up. Then miraculously, people started moving. So that was this weekend in a nutshell.
Yeah, that was Saturday for the most part, right?
Saturday night. Yeah, Friday night was a little bit. We had some issues. There was a lot of kids hanging out at the park after hours. They were on top of the snack shack, damaged the air conditioning unit on top of the snack shack, and we were dealing with another issue. And of course they all scattered. We couldn't catch all of them, but again, a lot of alcohol involved. The ones that we did catch, parents were called and charges were forwarded because Raymond Hall's not going to take anything short of a murder anymore. So charges were filed. Whether they will follow through on that or not, but the parents were notified and we were able to hold a few of them accountable. But as you know, a lot of times people scatter. But yeah, Friday night was the start. Saturday night kind of was the big epic moment. And then yesterday was very busy, but a much more orderly crowd because we had sufficient presence there and we're taking immediate enforcement action. So.
Thank you. Wow, what are we going to do?
Well, they have some
So some quick information. This is dropping back to the topic of paid parking at Allen York Park. We discussed that here in CDC. We went to finance. Finance gave approval to go ahead and move forward with spending up to $60,000 to implement a strategy at Allen York Park. I've talked to several different companies. Originally, I came forward with 2 proposals from companies that supply the actual kiosk that you walk up to and pay at, and it's sitting right there in the parking lots and that style. But after having conversations with several people, I started reaching out to companies that basically do all of this online. And you see some of this rolled out in some of our bigger cities where you basically walk up to a sign, you scan a QR code with your phone, you enter your information, license plate, and so on. You can pay over your phone. So that's what we have here. John and the chief and I have met with this company called Wayleader. They were basically the only one that responded to my requests. I've got a couple things here just on the company itself, but for sake of time, real quickly, just going to the 3rd page. And Kelly, I can send this to you. This kind of developed here this afternoon. I'll get this to you.
Okay.
It's all basically app driven. It's all, there is no proprietary software. It's over the internet, and you're handling this in the cloud. But you can see that what we're really excited about here is, one, it's not only paying for parking when you pull in and you want to be at the park. They also have a reservation component, which we could implement for the boat trailer parking area.
This is the way to go.
And we could get rid of Pierce County security monitoring the boat launch and ball field floor. So I mean,
Yeah.
to me, I hate spending that money, but if we don't, it's going to be chaos. So yeah, this is very appealing to us on that front.
And you can see on,
But people are gonna. Is there like a gate or something? Is that what you're talking about?
so I'm meeting with the company that put in the bollard system at the launch on June 1st, and I'm going to ask them about what options we have for putting some kind of a control structure across the entrance to Field 4 parking lot. This company can integrate with many different control systems, and one of the neat things that they do is in their app, when they integrate with the gate structure, when you make a reservation, there's actually a little button that pops up on the app that when you arrive on site, you press and it opens the gate for you. You can pull in and park and leave your vehicle and go get on your boat and go. The nice thing about this as well is the cost. If you go to, now dawning on me, I should have numbered these pages, but if you go to this page right here, you can see under price, we're looking at a total of about $15,000 to implement in the first year to implement and get the signs installed. If we go to the reservation system, there is an annual subscription, so it'd be about $3,500 a year to have the reservations. And then Wayleader does get 30% of basically commission. So, that's how they make their money, is they take a cut of what people are paying to park there. So it sounds like an amazing system. I know that we were all impressed in listening to it. There is background data so we can track usage of parking. There is a back end so that those that are doing enforcement can look at who is paid up by license plate, and then they can handle that situation as needed. There is a notification system. If somebody's time is expiring, they get an email or a text saying, hey, your time's almost up. Do you want to pay for more? And they can do that right there on their phone without having to go back to their car. So it's really a nice system. This would be incredibly easy should we decide to roll out in other areas of town if we even wanted to.
Yeah, it's scalable, right?
Scalable, yeah, absolutely. So if this sounds like something that you all are on board with, I think what I would propose to do next, they could get this implemented as soon as we make the decision to move forward. They were telling us in our meeting the other day, we could have it for you next week.
Wow.
So there just isn't that much. That would be the big hole.
Send us to Kelly.
And we think this will help with security. Is that the thing? How
Well,
does
it
this
will
help with
certainly help
security?
with managing, for us, it will help with managing the boat launch and boat trailer parking area.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I also believe it will help with security because we are one of the only parks around that does not charge admission. And people know that, and word gets out. In fact, we heard this weekend, one of the people that got a ticket asked, well, how much is it? was told $25, you're like, oh, okay, price of admission. So,
We can fix that too.
yeah, I think
exactly.
it will help with crowd management, Kelly, which ultimately helps with security.
Sure, okay.
That's coming to the next CDC. We're gonna slow speeds away.
So if that seems favorable, I think given the cost, we'd have to come back through with an agenda bill and resolution and some kind of contract document. I'm talking with our
Are
city
you ready to
attorney.
finance? We can go through faster that way instead. Because I think they're all.
I got a few questions to get answered as far as the contracting side of it, but if I could get that all answered by tomorrow at 3 p.m., certainly I could take it to finance. That might be a little slim to.
Just trying to help you get it done.
Hey, can
faster.
you throw a stop sign in at the end of
Kelly.
We're gonna have to get together some night. But yeah, anything you guys need, like straight. You know,
So,
Okay.
one of the ideas.
one of many
Excellent.
based on the-
Thank you.
Get done yesterday.
Period,
Be perfect.
because
We already
Yeah.
do,
You
but
guys are awesome.
park out in the
If you're gonna be down
neighborhood.
there.
well, that's what I'm wondering.
We're working on it.